Welcome everyone to the Autumn Dialogues Festival, hosted by the WICCI and LIGHTHOUSE Foundations. We are now on day 3 of a day 9 festival. Today we're going to be on a panel discussing different aspects of the body wisdoms that we all hold, and the different panellists that you'll be hearing will be sharing their beautiful knowledge with us today, and sharing that in the hope that other people are inspired or gain some insight into their own personal bodies or acceptance in their own bodies as well. WICCI is all about walking each other home, taking each other by the hand as women, and also embracing the idea of the men in our lives, finding a pathway forward together, united, stepping forward. I'm Celia Fuller. I'm speaking from Australia, but I will be welcoming different panellists from across the world. Our next panellist will be speaking on body positivity and gender empowerment. I'd love to welcome Swagatu Sen, who is a gender equality activist. She's also a clinical researcher and the founder of Rights of Equality, the Director of Young Professionals for Sustainable Development Goals, mentor of the UNASF, and was formerly on that board. Please, I'm going to hand it over to Swagatu. Enjoy her awareness and knowledge around the objectification of women and girls in media. Swagatu, over to you.
Women's bodies and sexuality have historically been used as a commodity to sell everything on earth, from car tires to household appliances. Women were often depicted as objects of visual and sexual pleasure across television, media and social media, magazines, billboards. If we look around ourselves, we'll find hypersexualized and unrealistically imperfect female forms everywhere. Over the last few decades, there has been a growing concern about how this objectification is negatively impacting our society. Studies have shown that young girls and women around the world are at a huge risk of developing mental health issues like negative body image, low self-esteem, eating disorders, and even depression because of the thin ideal and fat phobia imposed on them by different brands, industries, and media. Jess Winner, the creative manager of Dove Self-Esteem Project, once said that viewing unrealistic and unachievable body images create an unrealistic goal, which leads to feelings of failure. Sad, isn't it? Fortunately, in the recent past, we have seen a growing number of actresses, models, social media influencers, and feminist activists have come forward and started speaking up against this objectification of girls and women, and also started advocating in favor of embracing body imperfections and body positivity. Body positivity in its simplest form is a movement which challenges social constructs, which challenges the unrealistic standards of feminine beauty, like perfect, smoothness, flawless, wrinkle-free skin, and a perfect shape, size, and height of body, and avoidance of all sorts of imperfections. It also encourages young people to love and accept their bodies irrespective of how they look, and reject the social construct of a perfect shape and size of body. As a woman and a mother, I feel we have a lot of responsibilities in the lives of the young girls and women around us. First, to dismantle the social construct of physical beauty, and second, to reconstruct the social norms which associate physical appearance with one's self-worth and even success. I would recommend a few basic things which I feel we all should be conscious and careful about. First, avoid mentioning body shape, size, color, skin tone, skin color, all these adjectives when you are complimenting someone. I know it might sound surprising to many of you, as usually the common perception is that we hurt someone's self-esteem only when we criticize them, right? But that's not always true, you know. For instance, when you are saying someone, you look absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and so thin in that dress, aren't you somewhere endorsing the fact that she has to be thin to look beautiful? I know we all do it sometimes or other, and it's a very common norm. But I think it's time for us to realize that we are here to change what's normal and embrace what's good for our well-being and for the well-being of people around us. Second, stop bringing again those words like shape, size, body weight, body color, and height, all those words, narratives in the conversation when you are talking to any child. I know as parents or as adults, sometimes we get concerned and obsessed about the health and well-being and future of our children. But even very concerned and caring parents or relatives can potentially damage the sense of self-worth of a child to the extent that they cannot even imagine. For instance, when you are scolding your overweight child for taking an extra serving of dinner, or when you are pledging your underweight child to eat more because he or she is skinny, thin, they associate those words, those comments with a lot of stigma, a lot of pain, and internalize those feelings within them and start disliking their bodies, which manifest in different forms when they grow up. I feel as women, we all should remember that we are here for a reason, and we should start with liking and loving ourselves and our bodies, which many of us don't. And once we start accepting our bodies, we would automatically stop judging others and would start support one another, which is very important. At the end of the day, we all are human beings. We all have our subconscious biases and about our blind spots, about physical beauty and body size and shapes. But at the same time, we all should be constantly aware and create an awareness within us and around us. At the end, we all are here to find our own place. We all are struggling to find that place in the world, a place where we feel supported, accepted, heard, understood, empowered, loved without being judged. Let's create that space for one another. Let's stop judging, shaming, and blaming. Let's walk each other home. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Swagati. I know women all over the world will appreciate the words you have spoken and the awareness that you have around the topic of this objectification in the media. It's a huge topic and creates massive pressure in the developing minds of young girls, and as they turn into womanhood, they learn to expect the same. If we speak up more in our cultures and educate one another, taking each other by the hand and uplifting and saying, it's okay to be different, we don't have to be the same, we can celebrate our wonderful, beautiful, unique individuality. Okay, we'll move on now to another wonderful panelist. That's right, the next speaker is myself, Celia Fuller, from Australia, right from the land down under, sharing my knowledge with you. I'm an author, spiritual teacher, energetic healer, counsellor, holistic lifestyle consultant. I have been working in raising the awareness of the mind-body-spirit connection through a series of over 25 years actually, with our communities, helping them understand how we're a connected human being. My passion today that I'll be speaking on is sexual intimacy in relationships, and it's really based on a book that I wrote called The Secret's Out, Men and Sex and Why Women Say No. There's a really major part of information I wish to share with you to help all of you become feeling connected and normalised with the rest of your female counterparts, especially when you're in a process of a longer term relationship. I'm going to be sending you over to a pre-recorded version of this talk, and it's called Sexual Intimacy in Relationships. Please enjoy. I hope you will have gained some knowledge and inspiration that you are not alone. You are connected by the female human community, and we're all in this together. Please enjoy what I have to say. Hi ladies, I'm Celia Fuller and I'm speaking to you from Australia. And I'm going to share my journey with all the thousands of people that I have interacted with as a spiritual counsellor and healer. Also with the few natural therapies that I've done over those years and those very personal consultations I've had and conversations too around intimacy and the issues that follow men and women actually. First thing I need you to know is you are not alone. There are thousands of women who are following the same path, millions of women actually, feeling the same way you do. And once I talk about this issue, you're going to understand that you're not alone. This is a path that we are all having to traverse and find language around and have the courage to speak to our sisterhood and take each one another's hand and help lead us home to a better way of expression, a better joy in our life, and uplift one another, not put one another down, and also understand those inner struggles that are so often not spoken about. Okay, so where do I start? I need you to know from all the consultations that I have done with women that 90% of all women that have come through my doors or over my phone consultations worldwide, 90% feel a massive drop in libido in sexual intimacy. Usually straight after having children, or if there are no children in the relationship at that point, between 4 and 5 years old of the relationship, the libido starts to drop away and normalize. And there's another type of loving and another approach that women especially need in their interaction to feel a part of connectedness and wholeness in with their partner. Now, this sounds like an absolute pandemic. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is a pandemic. It's a pandemic of fear, grief, indecision, feeling judgment from one another, a failure. Women constantly come and speak to me about these feelings of failure, feeling as though they're not part of the relationship anymore. They can't love their partner anymore. Now, this is whether it's a partner that they have fallen in love with, magnetized, or in other situations where they've been youthful in their partnering and had a high sex drive and happy to explore, yet as time goes on, that energy settles. Yet for some reason, as men, that energy doesn't settle. Having spoken to men, they would say that their way of showing you love and support, and even if you're sad, they offer the sexual encounter to make you feel better. Even though from a woman's point of view and perspective, that is the last thing you want to do at the time. Preferably a cuddle and being held without any expectation to give over deeper than that. So this is where the communication starts to become awry in a relationship, and also when women are feeling different and they haven't heard other women speak about these differences because it's so personal, so deeply personal, and in some cultures you cannot even speak a word of sexual intimacy, sometimes not even to the partner. You have to actually just work together and find your own way. And this is why these talks, my talking to you, other women talking with you, sharing our knowledge, sharing our wisdom, and sharing all the thousands of other women's voices that have come across our paths and shared openly to us. It's really important that we learn to be really honest, because most women don't share their honesty of how they feel, because they feel like the other women and their friends that they're dealing with, and they see them having a wonderful time out there. They're dressed up, they're made up, they look fabulous, they're playing with their babies, they look like they're in love. And yes, they still may have love, but they start to have a little bit of doubt about the love they feel when they can't wake their body up to enjoy the sexual intimacy with their partner. They become seriously distressed about that, and that brings in massive layers of depression, self-doubt, self-judgment, sometimes even a straying eye, hoping if there's somebody else they feel love for and a passion for again, that there's nothing wrong with them. What is wrong is the lack of communication we have as a society about open, honest, fresh feedback from one another. Now, I believe if more of that conversation can happen, and this situation of being a woman and journeying through marriage, babies, partnerships for long term, if we spoke up with honesty, we wouldn't feel as alone and isolated. And then that isolation would not turn into depression and self-doubt. So I'm here to say, we are not alone. You are not alone. Connecting with other women and having this discussion. This is a mind-blowing discussion about the 90% that feel this way and are internally struggling even when they're interacting with friends and out in the community, doing their social work, doing their careers. They look like they have it all, but in fact there are some real big missing points. And those missing points is the body changes after children or long term. A woman needs a lot slower, more knowledge about her body as a whole, not just a sexual being, but a mind, a feeling person, and also then that wakes up the lower regions to have more of that beautiful sexual encounter, because it all comes in with love. And this is where a woman needs to educate her man more on those areas as well, which of course is not so easy to do. But first and foremost, we start with speaking honestly with our sisterhood, letting those conversations flow so little problem seeking can be sorted out and rearranged with one another, and even laughed about, can lift up that dreadful, dreadful sense of ineptness that can happen. I could talk about so much right now on all this subject, and I could answer many, many questions. I only have a short period of time today, but keep watching. You never know what comes up next. You are not alone. Sexual intimacy does change after children, anatomically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We change as women. We love 100 different ways, not just one anymore. So we need to celebrate that, educate about how we can be loved and how we can open up sexually to enjoy those much earlier experiences of first relationship. Enjoy your day, and until another time I speak and share some more, have a lovely day. Thank you. You have just learned a little more about myself and the passions that I face the world with. It's rich and varied on so many levels and platforms that I hold a lot of knowledge, as does the very next speaker. I would love to introduce you to Sinjini Sagumta, the founder of Lighthouse and the national president of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mentoring and Soft Skills. Sinjini is an author, columnist, TEDx speaker, distinguished Toastmaster, and erstwhile actuary. Sinjini teaches intensive programs in authentic storyteller, gender intelligence, self-discovery and creative leadership. Sinjini wishes to really share her story of creating peace with body pain. Welcome, Sinjini. Please share your journey with us and inspire us and give us very great deep thought into how you perceive and understood this subject matter and share it with our community. Over to you.
The last time I checked with schools, they were still teaching that the mind and the body are paradigms separated by a few thousands of miles. And yet, with my own lived experience, if there is one thing I know for sure, it is this. Our minds and our bodies are like Siamese twins, connected at the cord. But why am I even saying that? Because I'm going to talk to you about my trysts with my pain, my body, and my mind. As I speak to you today, I wonder what precise point it was in my life when pain had struck me, my mind and my body. It wrapped around my bones and passed through my muscles and lived there almost like a second existence. So much so that after a point, I could not tell myself from my pain. I have lived with pain for a very long time in my life. I did not know about it. Well, not until it went beyond the break-even point. Not until it broke me. About 5 years back, and just one step away from my next promotion, I fell ill face down. Broken spine, fibromyalgia, liver problems, you name it, I had it. The scans and the blood reports and the tests and the months of bed rest and the physiotherapy sessions, they went on and on and on for a very long time. Until one day the doctor called me to his cabin, set me down and told me, "You are one step away from quadriplegia. You have to stop and you have to rest up." But how can I live if I do not work? He told me one simple answer to that. "Miss Sengupta, how can you work if you do not live?" The rest of the story? You know the drill, right? So I came home and I flushed the medicines down the toilet pot, stayed up nights, gave up eating, gave up sleeping, and soon enough I was back in the chamber. And this time, it was one more step. Major depressive disorder. The doctor told me then, "Well, why don't you try doing something you love to do?" Doing something I love to do? You don't do things because you love to do them, right? You do things with a purpose. You do things to become successful. You do things to become accomplished. How do you even measure things that you do out of love? What do you do out of love? What do I do out of love? It was around that point that maybe I stopped to ask myself that question for the first time in my life. What do I do out of love? What do I do even if I don't get paid for it? What do I do with my life? Well, see, you have to understand this. Around that time, I have spent around 12 years of my life talking to computers in numbers, and all the words I ever used at work was to write PowerPoint bullet points. Soon enough, I realized I had unfinished job to do with words, written and spoken. It was around that time that no, I did not pick up the pen. I don't deserve that credit. It was the pen that picked me up. I started to write, I started to speak, and soon enough, I was on a journey I never thought possible. Riding, no, not on a broomstick, but on my pen. And on the magic carpet that is the stage, I started to speak and to write, and soon enough, I realized that our lived experiences, even if they were to be cocooned, even if they were to be shut down, even if they were to be just kept under the carpet, the moment you open your heart, the moment you tell your stories, you start healing. I started to heal. Now when I teach classes in storytelling, now when I teach classes in creative writing, I realize how each of the moments I spent building up without knowing, the pain in my body next to my muscles and next to my bone, that truth next to my bone, that was but a potential energy. That was my preparation. That was the time that was setting me up for the time that is now. So that I could be here today talking to you about pain, about body, about mind, about liberation. Liberation is something I encountered the first time in the lukewarm summer afternoon at a meditation center. I think around that time I had clocked in a good 1000 hours of noble silence, not talking to anyone, not writing, not reading, not even looking into somebody's eyes, because you just need to go deep inside, deep, deeper, deeper, and deeper. That was what meditation taught me, and it was with that experience that I liberated myself with my pain. Now, if this were to be an awareness speech, I would have definitely told you how fibromyalgia works. How on days you would find it difficult to even drag yourself out of bed, even if it is afternoon by the clock. Even on days that the phone would just ring, but you won't have it in you to sit up and see who's calling, to check, to answer, or to even drop that call. At times you won't have it in you to get up and answer that doorbell. Been there, done that. To go to work every day, at times look like an Everest climb. And that's not occasionally, that's often. Make no mistake, I often still feel the fatigue. I often still reel under that fibro fog. I often still fluster. I often fumble. And yet, today if you ask me, I wouldn't trade that with anything. I watch out for that sign language now. I watch out for the message it has for me. Am I trying to glorify my medical condition? Yes, sire, guilty as charged. But I still feel there is a reason things happen to us. There is a reason why fibromyalgia happened to me. I needed to make peace with pain. I had to learn it exactly the way I learned it. I had to learn it exactly the way it was planned. Autoimmune disorder means that your body gets confused. It attacks itself because it doesn't know who to talk to, it doesn't know who will listen. Listen and know that it is only human to be broken. To be broken is the only way to live. To be broken is to come home to yourself. To be broken is to make peace with your pain. Have you felt pain? Have you yet made peace with it? If you have, welcome home.
Sinjini, as always, an absolute riveting talk and sharing your amazing insight. And for us as a community of women who have been the panellists, we thank you so much because you as the founder of Lighthouse and your connection and presidency of WICCI has brought all of us together to share our collective wisdom. And I know all the days of the next levels of the festival, each day moving in through to, from ours, day 3 to day 9, there will be a constant series of women speakers who are sharing their gifts. And you have shared our gifts via being the lighthouse to the world, starting very much into your home country, India, but you spread your love to all of us across the world and even down under with myself. So together we will take each other's hands and lead each other home. Till next time we all get to speak again and share our wisdom, and many others who are staying quiet for the moment, letting us hold a platform. We will welcome more speakers along the way around body wisdom and how we perceive and understand our body. So enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the week of speakers. Please do join us. There are amazing women out there wanting to help and support you and help you to feel that there are pathways forward. Beautiful, empowered insights, knowledge and wisdom to gain, pathways forward. Please join us for the next few days of celebration. You're going to love it. Until next time, bye-bye from the land down under.